Alrighty, week 15 done. Week 16 heading out and it's Thanksgiving week, which means week shorter. All right, that only means for us, if you've been tracking along with the weekly attendance, is that the items that are normally due for a Thursday night get pushed to the following Monday. So maybe that's not good news. But that is at least the reality of a class like this. I guess I could consider dropping things, but we don't get through all the content that I want. So it's always one of those, which, can you do it? And in this case, right, you've had your first taste of Tkinter, and I saw your modifications, additions to the calculator. All good. I mean, it was interesting because I didn't give you, which sometimes I don't. Like, I don't give you a solid parameter. I'm like, just add something to it. And the one thing I guess I would say personally that is a little frustrating for me about Tkinter is that how do I say this? Because of the amount of implementations that folks have done with this product, it's just not going to be as rich or as deep as something like the client side, creating HTML, CSS, and JavaScript on top of that. It's just not. There's just no way that you're going to be able to do that. Of course, somebody's trying to call me. So it's just not going to, there's just no way. It's, JavaScript from the client side is just much more mature, much more used, much more flexibility, just much more documentation, right? But I still think it's good. I still think it's good to learn Tkinter just to have a graphical option. But let me just give you an example as a way to kind of promote my JavaScript class. So my JavaScript class right now, of course, we're at the end of that too. It's running concurrent with this class, meaning in the same timeline, 18 weeks online. And next semester, by the way, I'm running next semester, JavaScript, Python, Introduction to Web Development. But in that class right now, as I worked on the example for you all for doing my rock, scissors, paper game, right? I feel pretty done with that. I could do a little more, but at this point, I'm going to turn my attention to some other things. And most of what I'm going to turn my attention to is starting to prep for next semester. But in my JavaScript class, I just finished my example for them of doing asynchronous, right, code, which is, we talked a little about in this class with the scraping of the web and doing things like that. And who was it? Nathiam, who did I believe it was a Yelp API call, which was great. That's one of the things I think I would definitely try to include because it's such it's just the way the web is. It's the way the world is, right? You're going to have some kind of place on the web that you want to grab data and bring it into your app or use to present. So my point is that that's the other thing I'm thinking of as I'm rescheduling what this course is going to cover next semester. And again, as a way to promote my JavaScript class to you. Because if you've made it through Python, JavaScript, I think you'll have more fun with it, but anyway. So this is what I did. I used a website for COVID API reporting, and I didn't do anything nice. I didn't make it look pretty. But what I did is I used asynchronous code to go out, ping that site, grab some data, and then use chart.js to chart that onto a page. And that's like a pretty common thing that we're doing, whether we might not be charting it like in this case, right? So I can chart the number, and this is COVID related. So, right, maybe at this point you don't want to hear about COVID, but COVID has also provided all these cool APIs to where we can do some of this reporting. I mean, most of the stuff you're seeing about reporting is coming from somebody creating a site that pinged, called that API, brought that data back, did something to it, right? Matter of fact, if I remember right, the very first publicly used site was done by a 19-year-old. So anyway, I just create a couple buttons. In JavaScript, we use a thing called async await. I won't get into it too much, but right, if I wanted to look at the positive, like, how many positive cases are there, right? I had to do some data manipulation of this data coming in from the API, right? So, but COVID API, I mean, really, there's just so much. And this is just one example, right? This one right here, this is the one I used, right? It was provided by the Atlantic. I'm not sure we could look at where they got their data, but it has these endpoints that you do. So I guess my point, getting back to our topic, is that think about taking my JavaScript course if you like this, because I think it goes hand in hand with, learning how to create meaningful things in our world. The platform of the web is just so, I don't want to say it's mature, because I don't know if anything on the web is, but that stack is been definitely worked on by many people, and it's grown in its depth. But Python is as well, and Python is gaining tremendous possibility or popularity. I was seeing just the other day that it surpassed, I may have already said this to you, Java in its popularity. So getting back here, right? So here we are, week 15, finish your first one. For the next 2 weeks, I'm giving you work that allows you to start honing your graphical, your GUI for your Dev 1. So take advantage of that. You'll have to get this work done. Do know that I've given an example of what I want for the output. And basically, I want you to take print screens. And I give the example here in 16. And you'll do a similar thing where I want you to take, and again, keep working on that. The more you work on it, the better you're going to do having that done along with everything else. Okay. So check that out. And then the one thing I wanted to say, and this is going to be a repeat, I think, from week 16, which is coming up, but I'm okay with repeats in this case. So I know a couple of you were thinking of redoing your what you had done for Dev 1 to take into the graphical. Just know this, that if you do create something new, it's totally up to you. You do still need to have to have the requirements met for Dev 1, because if you did something new and it didn't meet those requirements, then it really isn't fair to those who are actually doing that, and it just doesn't make sense. Well, I don't know if that it doesn't make sense. It's not what I'm asking for. So just know, I think I cover that in the week 16 attendance. And yes, I do have a little bit of a chest thing going on. It's not cool, but anyway, that's what you might hear. All right, so the last thing is, before we head out, right, to the holiday. So I'm here on Friday, ending week 15, coming into 16. I knew I would cough, darn it, as soon as I said that. So I am going to create the last thing I'll do Tuesday before we head out, because I do normal video production, is I will release the Dev 2 schedule along with the short video talking about that concept. So I know I'd said I'd do it this Friday, but I've decided, with everything going on, I'm going to do it on Tuesday. The last office hour, of course, is Wednesday before we head into Thanksgiving. So just keep all those things in mind, and continue on. Right, work on this stuff. Get your graphical, your GUI. Come talk to me if you have any questions about implementation, your concerns about the amount of things you have to do. Because again, a couple of you I've already talked to during your code reviews. And really what I tried to do today is promote my own classes. And ask you to help me promote my classes, right? If you feel like they've been helpful to you. Help me find more students to take these classes. Because in one sense, you would think, given our world, that these classes would be filled up, but they're not. So I just think part of it is that Fresno City doesn't do the greatest job with doing our public outreach to people to know what we're doing. So part of it is I'm trying to do some of it myself, and you're one of the best ways that I've found to do it, because honestly, it's you telling somebody else about this class and your experience that will encourage more people to come. Again, I also try to make it better every time. I always try to, because if you didn't hear me say it, this is the first time I've taught Python. I'm pretty happy with the end result, but I definitely see things I'm going to change about it in the future. Okay, have a fabulous weekend. Week 16 heading at us with a abbreviated week. Things moved into the following Monday, including attendance, which I will do before I head out as well. That's the other thing I will do. Maybe I'll make that the week 17 attendance. Ooh, that sounds like a good idea. Anyway, peace out. Can I do a peace sign?